Welcome to the Mental Militia, uniting minds and freeing souls from the bonds of mental slavery and ruling class manipulation.
Hey guys, congratulations on finishing Section 1, videos 1 to 10, and welcome to Section 2, videos 11 to 20. Enjoy your journey to physical freedom, and don't forget to make sure that you understand each concept before you move on to the next one.
Okay, video number 11. This is the big boy. This is the one you've been waiting for, I'm sure. This is the passport video. This is going to be a long one. It's going to be intense. So basically, the passport is sort of like the big, huge key to basically everything when it comes to killing contracts. Okay, so getting the passport sorted out, what we're going to go over in all of this. Okay, like here's all your contracts. The passport is like a huge missile coming in here and going boom. To some degree going through here. I mean, obviously it's the citizenship one mainly, right? But it's so all encompassing and it's so huge. I mean, it wipes out taxation. It wipes out your marriage license to some degree. It pretty much to some degree literally wipes out like everything, or at least blows out like massive chunks of the foundation of a lot of these different contracts. This is the big kahuna of all big kahunas, okay? And the only thing that you really need to get started on this process is if you want the full 5-star passport, you're going to need your long form birth certificate. You could always try to get a 4-star now and then just get another one later, a 5-star if you want. 4-star is really, really good. But this video is going to be all about how to get the 5-star, the big boy. Like you get pulled over in your car and the cop just lets you go pretty much no matter what, unless you're crashing into people or doing something crazy. Diplomatic immunity. You're technically a foreign diplomat to United States. So it's the official thing that makes you entirely immune to all statutes and basically everything under the sun, moon, and stars. You whip that bad boy out and nobody can touch you. First thing I want to do is I want to show you what one looks like. This is from Wikipedia. Anyways, you can find some pictures for yourself if you can't see this for some reason. On the bottom left, there's a string of numbers right here, and there's a string of numbers over here. Here is an image, but you can see it better here. Look at how many strings of numbers there are, all down here. But we can see here there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 strings of numbers probably? Something like that on a passport card. What do they all mean? Where do they all go? What are they all connected to? What kind of contracts are there? Now, the main thing we're going to be talking about here is, so right here you see this little 1, 2, 3 stars. So this represents what kind of passport that you have, right? The 4-star, as far as I know, and again, you can't find this information anywhere, so call it a theory if you want. But as far as I can tell from mountains and mountains of research, the 4-star is a state national with a lower diplomatic immunity. The 5-star is a state national with a higher level of diplomatic immunity. So the 4-star is still a big jump up. 4-star is a whole hell of a lot easier to get than a 5-star. I have a 5-star passport, and I'm going to show you exactly how I did it in each individual step as best I can. If you don't understand this process or you don't understand anything as you're going along with this process, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going over, this is a U.S. citizen passport. This is not good. You don't want this. This is pretty much worthless. The 4 and the 5-star is really what you want. So this is what a 5-star passport looks like. You see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's exactly what mine looks like. You have the 5 stars at the top in the middle. Okay, let's get into it. First, we'll go through the theory. Copper Moonshine Stills is the person to go to in terms of if you want to learn how to do this entire process in terms of the DS-11. The DS-11 is the actual application for a U.S. passport. This is the DS-11. They've recently changed it, adding X gender. Again, only men and women have rights. So if you would like to get a state national passport and say anything besides men and women, it probably will up your passport dramatically because only men and women have rights. So it's all based off of Copper Moonshine Stills. So it's coppermoonshinestills.com. And then if you scroll down on the main site, he sells Copper Moonshine Stills. He sells moonshine stills. He has a link here on the left. It says beat the law, diplomatic immunity, state citizen passport, right? He says, I have little time, so please do not contact me about this information. If you don't understand it, then do not do it. Click here to download. Now this is cool. You click here and you actually can download an entire document that is an offline version of the entire thing, right? And it's got the laws. It's got a lot of the stuff that we've already gone over in this course. It's got the birth certificate. It's got all sorts of good stuff. It's got nationality. It's got what the different passports look like. I mean, this thing is awesome. So this is definitely something that I would recommend that you look over very, very thoroughly. And this is actually the portion that we're going to be doing together right now.
It's time to rediscover the human soul. Not the mystical, the metaphysical, or the supernatural. We're talking about the source of your abilities, your motivation, your vitality. The thing that makes you, you. We're offered a dream of convenience, but what of self-fulfillment, happiness, peace of mind? No more speculating. No more of this or this, but this. It's time to find out for yourself, to look, to know. It's time to rediscover the human soul.
So this website here, this is travel.state.gov, and this is the U.S. Department of State Bureau of Consular Affairs. They're talking here about certificates of non-citizen nationality. The Department of State occasionally receives requests for certificates of non-citizen national status pursuant to blah, blah, blah. As the title indicates, only a person who's a non-citizen U.S. national, i.e. a U.S. national but not a U.S. citizen, may apply for such a certificate. It's a relatively small amount of people that acquire U.S. nationality without becoming U.S. citizens. The particular statutes, which is this right here, this is 8 U.S.C. 1452, Certificates of Citizenship or U.S. Non-Citizen National Status Procedure. If you go down to Section B, Application to Secretary of State for Certificate of Non-Citizen National Status Proof Oath of Allegiance. A person who claims to be a national but not a citizen of the United States may apply to the Secretary of State for a Certificate of Non-Citizen National Status. Now, there are other types of statuses, like I said before, but they're all just smoke and mirrors. Basically, this is the one that you're going to want to go for. It's the state national, U.S. national, or state citizen. There's different ways of saying the same thing, right? Now, national, by definition, this one actually has an actual definition, which is impressive. You don't see an actual definition that often. The term national means a person owing permanent allegiance to a state, right? That's what the word national means in the actual U.S. code. You have to have proof to the satisfaction of the Secretary of State that the applicant is a national but not a citizen in the United States, and that you were born outside of the District of Columbia or its outlying possessions, taking and subscribing before an immigration officer within the United States, blah, blah, blah. So this is the overall process here. It's talking about the process a little bit. Another thing that's really important to know before we get into this whole process, we do have the United Nations, which we all know that they're not really as great as they tout themselves to be, but they do have the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Anyways, I think it was Teddy Roosevelt's wife that wrote this, and then it got picked up by the UN. So if you go down on the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights, this is a universal declaration of human rights for all human beings throughout the entire planet. If you go to Article 15, Article 15 says number 1 says everyone has the right to a nationality. And if you look, this is straight from the UN.org, Article 15, number 1, everyone has the right to a nationality. And then number 2, no one shall be arbitrarily deprived of his nationality nor denied the right to change his nationality. This is why I was telling you, these organizations, they literally are just sitting there waiting for you to send them documentation. This is not some big, huge fucking deal. You're going to be like, oh my God, freaking out. Like, can I do this? Should I do this? Are they going to fight me? Am I going to get in trouble? All this stuff. The answer is no. They don't give a fuck, dude. Well, they probably give a fuck, but they're not going to behave as though they do. It violates Article 15 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And if by some weird thing you do have a problem with some of this stuff, you can use this and say, dude, like, I tell you what my nationality is. You don't tell me what my nationality is. And that's really how it actually works. You're telling the IRS your nationality and where you're located and where you're a resident and where you're domiciled, how much money you made from where you know, and then you think of like the Miranda rights, like when you get arrested, you always see on cops and stuff like that, anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. I mean, really, if you want to step back and think about all this stuff, you just talk too fucking much. And you don't ask questions about definitions of words, phrases, and terms. That's pretty much the full-blown ultimate breakdown of the reason why you're a slave and you have no rights, and the reason why you have to get a permit to carry a firearm in public, which is hilarious. So Article 15, everyone has the right to a nationality, and no one shall be arbitrarily deprived of his nationality nor denied the right to change his nationality. You can get your 5-star, and then the next week, you can submit a new one and get a 2-star or a 3-star or a 4-star. And then you can submit another one the next week and get a 4-star. You can do whatever you want, whenever you want. There's nothing stopping you. Nothing at all, okay? So we already went over what national means. It means a person owing permanent allegiance to a state. It proves that you're in the state and you're living in the state, you're domiciled in the state, you're residing in the state, and it basically is the final blow of the evidence that proves that you're not living in the District of Columbia. You could still work for the District of Columbia. You would become a state national. You would have the 5-star passport. You would kill off all your contracts, and then you would fill out a 1040-NR form, a U.S. non-resident alien income tax return form. This is it right here, 1040-NR, right? You're going to need to do your own snooping, but I believe possibly you may, if you're contracted to work with the federal government, depending on what area you're working with them in, I believe, I could be wrong on this, but I believe that would be considered privileged income, and you would have to file a tax return on that, and it would be a 1040-NR. A 1040-NR keeps you uncontracted. You're not saying I'm a U.S. citizen. You're saying I'm a foreign entity, but I'm making money working for United States, right? And I want to pay the taxes on that income that I'm getting from the United States. You may want to call them and ask them. You may want to, I don't really know. This is so kind of far beyond anything I've experienced. I'm just kind of trying to make this course kind of evergreen and try to answer as many questions as might come up. So I do believe if you're a police officer, technically you are working for the federal government because you're working for City of Los Angeles, which is a sub-corporation of United States. So you're actually working for Washington, D.C. Let's say you're contracting with the police department or something like that. You may want to check into this because you may have to file a 1040-NR. But I'm just trying to spark your curiosity, spark your interest a little bit on that. That way you're kind of tracking, okay? So look at this. This is really important. Section 308 of the INA, which is the Immigration and Nationality Act, INA, right? It confers U.S. nationality but not U.S. citizenship on persons born in an outlying possession of the United States or born of a parent or parents who are non-citizen nationals who meet certain physical presence or residence requirements. Now, this is why on the DS-11 form, it asks you, parents, is your one parent a U.S. citizen? Yes or no? Is your other parent a U.S. citizen? Yes or no? Is your spouse a U.S. citizen? Yes or no? Now, the most important thing you're going to do on this entire process, by far, is you're going to put no on both of those lines. See? Most important. Check off no to U.S. citizen. No. The U.S. citizen part is the most important part of this whole thing. Placing a yes in any of these boxes will instantaneously give you a 3-star passport or below. The only way you can get access to the 4 or 5-star is by placing no. There's a bunch of other shit we're going to do too, but it's not as important as placing no. And that comes from the Immigration and Nationality Act, Section 341B. And again, that talks of is born of a parent or parents who are non-citizen nationals. When applying, applicants may execute a Form DS-11, which is the one here, the one I was just showing you. This is a passport application form, and show documentary proof of their non-citizen national status as well as their identity, right? So documentary proof of their non-citizen national status, that's going to be your long form birth certificate. And then I used my driver's license when I went in to get my passport. Not the best thing in the world to use, but the person who I went to see was actually in a post office. And she had done a few of these state national forms before, but she was a little bit confused. I tried to give her a non-normal identification card. I tried to give her a state national identification card, and she was just kind of confused. And I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to keep this simple. And I gave her the driver's license. You want to try to not use your driver's license as much as possible, because your driver's license is, again, you don't need a driver's license. So by having one, you're basically admitting to the fact that you're a U.S. citizen by just having one and by using one. And I got the 5-star passport using the driver's license. In the explanatory statement, which we're going to be going over, which is attached to the DS-11 form, is where you're going to put things like, if I use a driver's license for this, don't use that to make me a U.S. citizen, because I'm really not. I just don't have any other way of making this simple. You can explain that in the explanatory statement, and I'll show that to you.
Every day, millions of people ask, what is Scientology? Here's an idea. What if you just take a look? See for yourself. What if you see for yourself who we are, what we believe, and what we stand for? Our doors are open to all people of all faiths in every corner of the world. So what is Scientology? Maybe it's time to look and decide for yourself.
So first and foremost, up here, this is the DS-11 form. You're going to get both the passport book and the passport card. So you're going to check both, right? You can check regular, or you can check the large book if you want. The large book is for those who are frequently traveling abroad using the passport, and it's just bigger and it's got more visa pages. So if you're going to be doing a lot of traveling, you may want to look into getting the large book. So you're going to check one of those two boxes as well. I did regular book on mine. First name here, last name is the top box, middle name is Monroe. Date of birth, you're going to put your date of birth in there. You're going to put male or female. Place of birth, you're going to put the city and the state. You are going to put your social security number. Technically, they can't ask you, but even if you don't put it, they're going to put it anyways. So you put your social security number in here. You put your email address, your primary contact phone number. Now again, care of means that I don't live here, I just receive mail here. So you're going to do in care of, and then you're going to put your address, your home address, and then you're going to put the city, the state, and the zip code, okay? And then here it says list any other names you've ever used, if you've ever had previous names or name changes, etc., okay? You do not write anything in this area. You don't sign anything, you don't mark anything, you don't fold the paper, you don't do jack shit. This is specifically for the passport office or for the postal office. There's guys like David Straight and a lot of other guys that are teaching a lot of this information. They say to go straight to the main passport center, not to make an appointment and go to the post office. I live in Los Angeles. I went to a very, very high traffic passport post office. And I went in, a lovely Asian woman tried to get me to do what's called the DS-82, which is a different form to basically just renew an expired passport. And I said, no. I said, I'm changing the type of passport that I have. And she's like, no. She's like, you need to do a DS-82. And I was like, I'm not doing a DS-82. I'm doing a DS-11 because I'm changing the type of passport that I have. And she had no clue what I was talking about, right? And I was just like, listen, I'm not doing a DS-82. It's not happening. Oh, you need to do a DS. We went back and forth probably 5 times. And she said, you need my boss. You need my boss. I said, yeah, take me to your leader. And she took me to this amazing black lady who had been there for, 16 years. Because she goes, oh, she says state citizen. She says, without prejudice, right? And I was telling you, dude, like, I was really nervous because it's just like you feel like a 007 agent when you're doing some of this shit. I laughed so fucking hard. So without prejudice is the way you sign. So she's like, oh, I've had a few people over the years come in and get these. And she recognized what it was, but she recognized it based off of the signature line. And some people were writing without prejudice. And for some reason that was like, without prejudice, right? She's amazing. I laughed so hard. So as he says here, you don't underline anything. It says here, I declare under penalty of perjury the following. Number 1, I am a citizen or non-citizen national of the United States. Obviously, it sucks because you're basically saying you're kind of both or either one or whatever, right? They don't separate it out. From what I've read and what I've studied, a long time ago, they actually had a little selection boxes where you could actually select which type of citizenship status that you actually wanted. And you can actually just checkbox state citizen. And it was that easy. Well, now they make it a lot more complicated. Do not underline it. They will deny you. That's what Copper Moonshine Still says here, right? And Copper Moonshine Stills, if you go back to his website, you'll see here, passport information updated 12/20/2019. There might be another update at some point. So you should check this out. If you're doing this and it's a long time period from now. Again, this is June 26, 2022. There's so many people doing this shit right now, and it's getting so crazy and so hot with all the craziness in the world and the vaccines. By the way, when you're a state national, all this vaccine shit, none of it applies to you at all whatsoever. None of it. Nothing. So if you want to get your kids away from having to get vaccinated, if you want to get yourself away from having to be vaccinated, you do this process. They could pass all sorts of laws and they could pass shit that puts you in jail if you're not vaccinated, blah, blah, blah. It won't have anything to do with you on the state level as well as on the federal level. The statutes and the government and the state government, they're sitting there and they're like a vacuum. Okay, they're trying to suck you in all the time, right? Moving on, after getting this passport, avoid traffic tickets and do not pay property taxes. So he says do not pay property taxes here, right? I'm going to teach you in a later video how to create what's called an allodial title for your property. He says here, don't pay your property taxes. I don't know about that. I know for a fact that once you create a superior title for your property, which I'm going to teach you how to do, you will never have to pay property taxes again. He's saying here, when you get this, you don't need to pay property taxes anymore. I don't know about that, but whatever. Go for it. If that's something you want to do, go for it. Just uncontract yourself with your county and stuff like that as best you can. An allodial title, which we're going to go over in a later video, that's how you fully uncontract your property from the state, from the county, from everything. And then at that point, you no longer need permits to do anything with your property, and you no longer need to pay property taxes. And the government entities and the police, they need written approval to come on your property. Otherwise, they can literally be shot or attacked legally. You basically turn your property line, it's called meets and bounds. You turn your property into a separate country, essentially legally, right? Now, there's a bit of an issue with that too, though. Like, for example, sewer hookups and things like that, and where the city kind of links into your property and the electrical poles and stuff like that. It may become a little complicated in those areas where your property is connected up with public services, right? So if you plan on doing like an outhouse or something like that, or some kind of other plumbing idea, and you plan on doing solar and stuff like that, that's how you go completely off the grid if you really want to. If you don't want to do that, I would recommend that you go into the county and maybe work out a little deal with them, maybe, where you say, hey, I'm going to do this allodial title. I'm not going to be paying property taxes anymore, but I do still want to get sewer. How can I do that? What's the deal? Can I pay like payments on sewage? It's just different for everybody. Like here, Los Angeles Water and Power, maybe I would go to them and say, hey, if I have an allodial title, can I still get sewer and electrical and all this, or check out your contracts with them and look over the contracts and see kind of what the deal is. Every single area is different. So with all that kind of stuff, that's something a little separate that we're going to be getting into in a later video. But he does say you can stop paying him here. So I don't know. It's up to you, I guess. Fill out the application in black ink as per the instructions. The most important thing to do, which is the checking no on the U.S. citizen, as I showed you in the previous thing, putting in care of with standard mailing address with the zip code. This means merely where you receive your mail and do not live in their jurisdiction. And then for the permanent address, you don't sign this until you're in front of the person who's going to be doing it with you, the post office or the person working at the passport office. Keep in mind this without prejudice UCC-1-308. You're going to write that in front of the signature officer. So you can put it on like a little, if you can't memorize it, you should memorize it. You should sign every goddamn thing under the sun without prejudice. Not the UCC 1-308 part, but the without prejudice part, you should be signing on everything. But you can have like a little post-it note and just write on it without prejudice. I sign mine with the human name, comma, beneficiary. I don't think he's saying that that's necessary, but that's what I would do if I were you. So I did it all lowercase, Brandon-Joe Williams, comma, beneficiary, and then with the without prejudice UCC 1-308 on top.
It's time to rediscover the human soul. Not the mystical, the metaphysical, or the supernatural. We're talking about the source of your abilities, your motivation, your vitality, the thing that makes you, you. We're offered a dream of convenience, but what of self-fulfillment, happiness, peace of mind? No more speculating, no more of this or this, but this. It's time to find out for yourself, to look, to know. It's time to rediscover the human soul.
We have name of applicant on the second page. This is your name, but keep in mind, you want to read this really carefully. You know, what I did is I printed off a whole shitload of copies of the DS11, and I wrote one all the way to the bottom, and then I would look it over, and I'd be like, maybe this is a better way to do it. And I wrote another one, and another one, and another one. If I made any little mistakes or any little things that I had to scratch or change in any way, I would just do another one. This has to be perfect. Every letter has to be perfect. Every single slash has to be perfect. Every number has to look just like no matter who they are or where they are, they have to be able to determine like, okay, that's exactly this letter and this number, okay? So you're putting your name, last, comma, first, comma, middle is how they want it done. Date of birth, you want to do the exact way they tell you to do it, which is 2 digits for the month, / 2 digits for the day, / 4 digits for the year, okay? Parent information, mother, father, parent. First and middle name, right? Joe, Don. So first, middle name, and then last name is here. Date of birth for that parent. If you don't have the date of birth for one of your parents, which is something that I ran into, you can just leave that blank or put N/A. Same with place of birth. But if you can locate it, you should put it in here. Dallas, comma, Texas. Sex is male, man or a woman. I don't know. I guess in this brave new world, if you have a parent and they change their sex at some point in their life because they decided they didn't like their rights because they were sure pesky rights, human rights, put whatever gender they were when they were born, their original gender on the form. The fact that I even have to say that is fucking pathetic. But the second part, U.S. citizen, obviously, is no. That's the most important thing on the entire form. Jane, Sally, Barron is the next one here, date of birth for her. If you don't have it, put N/A or leave it blank. Same thing with place of birth. If you don't have it, put N/A or leave it blank. It's a female at birth. U.S. citizen is no. Have you ever been married? Now, it doesn't say, are you married? You got to be very, very careful with these questions. You want to read these questions very carefully. He says yes on this form. If yes, complete the remaining items in number 11. So you have I was married to Brenda Marie Smith. Her date of birth, if you don't have it, leave it blank or put NA. Place of birth, if you don't have it, leave it blank or put NA. Plano, Texas. It doesn't say is she or was she. It just says U.S. citizen. That's all it says. No. It's always no. Always. If they asked you this question 567 times, you'd say no 567 times. Date of marriage, when were you married? Have you been widowed or divorced? If you were, then you put the divorce date. If you're not sure, put NA or just leave it blank, okay? Additional contact info. Additional contact is like a friend or a family member or something like that. What's your occupation? Now, according to the stuff I've read, certain occupations can be bad. So I don't really know all the details on that. I would try to keep this really vague and simple. If you do anything in a business at all, I would just put administrator. If you do anything in sales, just put sales. If you're a welder, you put welder. Like, just keep it really, really simple and vague. Employer or school, if applicable. You can put something in there if you want, or just leave it blank or put NA. It does say at the beginning of the form, anything that you leave blank could make it take longer to get it approved. So you can just put NA. That's what I did. I put NA in every single box rather than leaving it blank, because I read that on the form, okay? So he put here subpar welding. Your height. I did foot and inches. He did 70 inches. I did like 6 foot 1 inch on mine. Hair color, eye color, travel plans. I put NA here for travel plans because I didn't have any travel plans. I just wanted a 5-star passport for diplomatic immunity, right? So I put NA, NA, NA for all 3 of these countries to be visited, right? Permanent address. Now, this is really important. Again, you don't want to put anything in here that would trick you into winding up in the jurisdiction of the District of Columbia, right? So you put in here rule-free delivery. It means you do not live in the District of Columbia or any fictional area. Fictional meaning incorporated. Incorporated means fiction. It means bullshit. It means fake law manufacturing, artificial. That's what it means. Fictional. Okay, it is fictional. Men and women and humans are real, and then all this other shit everywhere is all fictional. Okay, so Dallas, I was very, very specific about this part here. Texas, I put instead of CA because it's copyrighted or trademarked, I put California. And actually, now that I think about it, just to go back a little bit on place of birth, I did mine a little differently. On place of birth for both of my parents, I put I think I put Indiana unincorporated, or I put America unincorporated. I'm not sure that's really going to matter a whole lot, but that's what I did on mine, just as a little side note. I did get a 5-star passport, but a lot of other people have too. So rule-free delivery, Dallas, Texas. I would strongly recommend you write out your entire state here. It's going to look kind of sloppy. You're going to start like for New Jersey or some of the like longer words, like California. I wrote it like kind of at an angle. So I started here and I did California, and I went all the way across, diagonally across the box. I just think it's better. And then all zeros for the zip code, 00000, right? Emergency contact, Brenda Marie Smith, whatever, Dallas. Now this one you can write whatever you want, because this isn't about you and where your residence is. So this one's not, I think on mine I wrote California out entirely, but whatever. On this one it doesn't really matter. I'm trying to get you to actually understand all this stuff and not just like mechanically go through all this shit. Because again, if you don't understand all this stuff and you're just mechanically going through all this, it's risky, because if they ever challenge you in any way and they realize you don't know shit, I wouldn't want to be in that situation if I were you. You don't need to know everything under the sun, moon, and stars. I think everything in this course is pretty much everything you're going to need to know to stand on your own 2 feet to some degree. Relationship as wife. Have you ever been issued a U.S. passport book or passport card? Now this section here, I did yes on mine. I had never had a card before, but I had a book. So I said yes, and I dug my book out from my thing, and I put my name as printed in the book. I put my passport number from the old book, and I put my issue date from the old book. It was expired. And then status of your most recent passport book, I put submitting with application. So you're sacrificing and giving up your old book with the new DS11. So you're submitting it with the application. Okay. If you lost it or it was stolen, or if it's in your possession but you're not sure where it's located, like in your room or maybe in your bags, but it's expired, you have those 3 selections here too. Stolen, lost, in my possession, if expired, right? Do not write below this line for issuing office only. Interesting stuff. Take a look. We have birth certificate, SRCR. What do these things mean? Natural citizen, naturalized maybe, certificate, USCIS, USDC, that's the United States District of Columbia. Report of birth, file place, passport. Look at all these symbols. This is all just a tricky way of them knowing, kind of what it is and not telling us, right? Same thing up here. You have the first page. You have a D, an O, an S, an NFR. I don't know what all that means. Maybe you could ask them.
If you think that all is lost, that every dream has faded, that the last light of hope is gone, think again. It's there within you. Something that can never die.
You can live again.
The power.
Live again.
To rise. To create. To live again.
You can live again. You can live again. You can stand on your own 2 feet. You can rise up from any defeat. You can live.
Because nothing is more powerful than you.
So that's the DS11 form. That is the application. Now, if you do that entire application the way I just described to you, which is from Copper Moonshine Stills, even if you do nothing else at all and you don't attach a long form birth certificate and you don't attach an explanatory statement and you do like literally fucking nothing else at all whatsoever, you can submit that bad boy in and you should get a 4-star passport just off that alone, right? So the passport kills off the citizenship one, and honestly, it kills off a lot of things. Like I said, it's this giant bomb, right? But it also, we didn't have it on this list, the driver's license, right? It also kills that contract as well. Now, you can still have a driver's license. You need a driver's license to like rent cars and stuff like that. So if you are an Uber driver, if you are a big rig driver, if you are transporting things for money and it's like obvious, if you're using a company vehicle, any of these things that would place you directly and exactly inside of commerce, you have to have a driver's license, okay? Now we're going to cover the explanatory statement, okay? James C. Lovett is definitely a little more conservative. He's definitely a little more chill. He's a lot less combative, which I do like about James C. Lovett a lot. So I do recommend the master combo. And then if you do want to get the full package, here it is. Order all U.S. national files listed above, includes the combo, $500 for everything. And that includes UCC1, which is filing a lien on your trust name, your all capital letter trust name, which prevents people from like fucking with it and billing it. It's a way of taking control of your all capital letters name, which I'm not going to get into in this course because I have not done it. I'm actually about ready to do it. Right to travel files. This is a binder that you're going to put together and put into your vehicle that goes over the right to travel in your private automobile when you're not doing active commerce while driving the vehicle. cancellation of account to pull your information out of the DMV. I don't know exactly what that is. I have done a bunch of stuff on DMV related activities, but I'm not sure exactly what he's talking about here with this. It has something to do with that. You have the explanatory statement master combo for the passport. I believe inside this file package, you can create your own birth certificate and you can file it with the state. So the kid gets to be 18. He says, I want to get a 5-star passport. He would get something like this. He would learn how to create his own birth certificate from scratch. He would send that birth certificate in to, I'm assuming he would either get it filed, and then once it's filed, then he would send a copy of it with the passport. And then that's how someone with no birth certificate would get a 5-star passport. Good. What are the 3 things that's needed to review on this video? Let me see if there's anything else to go over here. So what are the 3 things that a person has to have in order to get their 5-star passport? Number 1, they have to fill out the DS-11 form correctly. I tried explaining every single box in great detail. That way you guys, no matter what they change on the DS-11, hopefully you can still figure it out. They probably maybe will change something if they need to. Number 2, you need an explanatory statement. If you want to get a 4-star passport, you don't need an explanatory statement. I paid $300. That included overnight shipping, 1-day air, which was like $60, and that also included like an extra $80 for priority processing. I had my 5-star passport in my hands about 12 days after I was at the, maybe 10 or 12 days after I was in the post office, okay? If you want to go on the cheap, you can probably do it for, don't order any long-form birth certificates, or if you already have and you don't want to wait any longer, don't buy the explanatory statement, don't do anything. Go in, don't even buy. If you really want to go cheap, don't buy the priority shipping, don't buy the priority processing. It could take, I don't even know, maybe 2 months for you to actually get your passport. But at that point, you're looking at maybe $160 or $170 for everything. Again, if you're not willing to pay $170 for total fucking freedom from literally every contract on this list, you're fucked in the head, and I have no clue why you're here. So yeah, if you have the money, I want everything as fast as humanly possible. There is one other thing I could go over with you, I suppose. If you live near a passport center, you can purchase a flight to an international location like Russia or any place out of the country, ideally someplace you can't drive to. That way it's like really, really obvious that you need a plane. Let's say you book something for like 3 weeks out or like 2 weeks out, and then you print off the receipt of the flight you just booked and then just cancel the flight. If you have that receipt and it says that you need to fly somewhere in like 2 or 3 weeks, you can call up the main passport center and you can get like a same day or like right away emergency appointment, and you can take in the DS-11 and do all the same shit. You can give it to them and they'll give you the passport like the same day or the next day or something like that. So, because when I booked for my passport appointment, it was like 3 or 4 weeks out. So if you don't want to wait that long to get your passport, that's kind of like a secret backdoor way. But you would need to live near some kind of major passport center or be willing to travel to one. And again, David Straight recommends that you go straight to the passport center, that you do not go to the post office. I mean, I had success in the post office, so whatever. You know, there's a chance that you may spend $160 and then you only get a 3-star for some weird fucking reason. I don't know. If that happens, I would do it again, but at a different location, if you can. I know that sucks because you just wasted $160, but again, for total fucking freedom, it's not a big deal. I wouldn't freak out and like try to, I don't know. I would just pay the money and just do it again. Now, if you pay the money and you do it again, it's still fucked up and you're 100% sure you did it all right. At that point, I'd probably give them a call or go to a main passport center and be like, look, like I tried to fill this out in this way and I'm just not getting the kind of passport that I've never heard of any of these kind of problems coming up. So I don't think it'll be a problem for you, but okay, that's it for the passport video. I think I've covered everything I want to cover. You will get the book. you will get the there is actually one more thing. I did the 5 stars, so I submitted the long form birth certificate. I submitted my old passport, which isn't required, but that's how I did it. I submitted the explanatory statement. Now, they send you back your old passport. They sent me back my old passport. They sent me back my certificate of live birth. They sent that back to me. They did not send the explanatory statement back to me. So the cool thing about getting that master file is I believe they actually file that document in your main file. And it's like that affidavit, that big, bad, sexy, bad wolf, James C. Lovett explanatory statement is filed in your file. So it's like, that thing is powerful. That thing clarifies your situation and your birth and everything up and down, left, right, and center. So that is a beautiful thing to have filed in your file, and that is a massive level of protection for any sort of challenging of your nationality or anything like that in the future. But again, no one's going to challenge your nationality. Like, I'm telling you, like you think that in your head, but it's just like, that's not how it works. They're sitting there chilling, cucumber in ass, coffee in hand, just taking people's documents and updating their shit on the computer. That's all they do. That's all any of these people do. So there's no reason to be combative. There's no reason to really do anything except just quietly and calmly kill off your contracts, change your status. When we say change your status, this video, the revocation of election video, and this video is the first huge section of changing your status. Once you do the revocation of election, we've already gone over that. And once you do this passport process, you are really pulling out of the matrix big time. I mean, you are massively in a whole nother category of human. I mean, whether it's a 4-star or a 5-star doesn't even matter. 5-star is obviously bigger and huger and more awesome and better. But even if you just did the Form 56 and the 4-star passport, even if you just did it like that, oh my God, I mean, you're talking massive increase in status, humongous. Like I said before, if you're African descent, if you're black, oh my God, I mean, you just those two things alone, I mean, you are just slamming into the stratosphere in terms of status and stuff like that. So whatever's best for you, whatever matches your pocketbook, whatever it is that you want to put the time and effort into, I think I've broken everything down pretty good, given you a lot of options to do this the easy way or the hard way in both respects. And I'll see you at video number 12.